Right, now I'm here in Oxford. I think this might be the largest camp in this country, and I'm here with Madeline, who is part of the camp and also a journalist who's been covering all that's happened in this camp since it started. So how has this camp been for you, Madeline? Has it been exciting?
As a journalist, it's a really rare opportunity to be able to document something from the inside, and it's always a real privilege when you're given that access. So it's actually been incredible to watch the students adapt and make changes and figure out how this encampment is going to run. It is something that is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as a journalist and as a historian, which I am, and I've really enjoyed being part of this really kind of historic moment and documenting it.
This attack on the camp on Saturday night, now you were here.
I was here.
Can you tell us what happened?
Sure, I was standing in the middle of camp interviewing someone when I heard a really loud ripping noise, and I turned and someone was tearing one of the student banners off the front fence, and I could see behind him that there were 5 other men stepping out of a large silver van, and so I just took off running directly for them and grabbed my camera and started shooting.
Supporting a genocide. Israel, we love you. Terrorist sympathizer. Free the hostages. Free the hostages. Free the hostages. Free the hostages. Free the.
They eventually began targeting Jewish students who were in camp, some of whom are staying here and some of whom were there for a combination of a vigil that evening and the end of Shabbat.
You fake Jew! What the fuck is that on your head?
Threatening students and screaming at them and at me. It happened very quickly, but the students responded quite calmly, and none of the students left the camp. Everyone stayed where they were safe, and thankfully there were some trained de-escalators on site who managed to keep things from getting any further. And I'm really grateful that I'm safe and that everybody else was safe and that there were no injuries. There's a general disregard for the voices of students that I have found really disappointing, since a lot of these students are very well educated, very thoughtful, and at the very least I think they deserve to be taken seriously and spoken to and about as if they are adults, because they are. Yeah, I've seen some great journalism, and I've seen some journalism which I would have hoped for better, let's say.
Here we are at the Oxford University encampment. It is just outside the Oxford Museum of Natural History. Hiya, you all right? Are we all right? Just have a quick chat with a couple of people about why you're here and what's going on and everything like that. Is that possible?
So actually, most of us here would rather not give a comment.
That's fine.
But we have some people in the press team who might be free. Would you just wait here for a minute?
That's lovely. Yeah, thank you. Okay, brilliant.
Who are you guys with?
So my name's Patrick. I'm with GB News. Thank you.
You guys are?
Hello. There's a megaphone going on there saying that we're unfriendly press, which is interesting. They certainly don't believe in the freedom of the press or the individual's right to freedom of expression. Roll on. Is it possible to have a quick chat with you? Just about why you're here? It's possible to have a quick chat with you about why you feel so strongly?
Yeah. Why don't we don't speak? Sorry, I'm new here.
But do you want to talk, though? Because it's...
Yeah, I mean, they asked me not to, but...
Oh, okay.
We do engage with press, just not this press, for obvious reasons. It's GB
I'm not
News.
really, I don't really know.
But and this is what happens at every single one of these events, right? So you go up, people are perfectly happy to talk, and then someone with pink hair who's decided to stop shaving her armpits comes up and says, no, don't talk to that lot, and then they get too scared. If we pan round, we can see that it's all kicking up a notch now. So, it's quite good. Yeah. Are you all right there? So are you a student at the university? Can I ask, do you want to explain why Oxford is complicit in genocide? Okay. If we turn it round, we can see that there's quite a lot of people. We had members of staff from that university, and this was pointed out to me by an academic who was at the university, who was sympathetic to some of the stuff that we were doing here at GB News, tooting their horns on the way past. And you think, how would it feel to be Jewish there, really?
Yeah, really horrible. My old university, Cambridge, they're all camped outside King's College on the strip of green, and the students are doing their exams at the moment. They have to walk past those tents, and there'll be a lot of Jewish students who are very upset. As you said at the top, the Union of Jewish Students, the NUS, basically trying to kind of cancel them and making all these anti-Zionist occupations. Look, being young and foolish is the job description of a student, but these people, they're supposed to be the most intelligent people in the country, and they are absolute idiots. There's a student, Oxford student, saying that as a colonized people, Palestinians have got the right to resist against occupation. Gaza isn't occupied. The Israelis left it in 2005. So the lack of knowledge. And I just want to say, Patrick, okay, about Jewish people in this country, we are losing. Jews are going to be leaving in their thousands our country. And these kids know nothing about history. This all started because on October the 7th, one of the most heinous massacres in modern history, and indeed the biggest slaughter of the Jews since the Second World War, took place, and they are having wellness sessions.
Yeah.
Leave it, just, it's horrible. It's really disrespectful and horrible. The masks on, so intimidating, and the Yasser Arafat memorial tea towel wrapped around them in the sort of ridiculous fashion statement. They are calling Israel racist state, Zionist entity, which, by the way, Zionist entity is what Hamas calls Israel. But Israel is a modern, progressive, liberal, one of the only country in that region which is pro-gay, pro-gay marriage, immensely liberal. So all these students who'll be shouting about homophobia and misogyny, wouldn't they, on any other day of the week? But suddenly they appear to be on the side.
There's not much liberating Gaza from Hamas, is there?
No, there's not. They did have posters outside saying Israel's destroyed all the universities in Gaza as well, which did kind of make me laugh somewhat. I mean, I do wonder what they were teaching there anyway.
The Oxford University protest camp, the GB News were doing really scathing attacks on it. And it, if it's represented in this really aggressive way, that isn't going to be good for the camp, and you will get people maybe who will come and attack it in that way. I mean, there must be some link between how it's represented in the media and that kind of violent attack. Do you think that's true?
I think that it's really important for journalists to be in conflict situations and to cover them as thoroughly and as fairly as possible in a way that informs public discourse rather than inflames a particular set of rhetoric. For many reasons, including our duty to inform the public on important matters, but also because irresponsible coverage in circumstances like these can lead to injuries, to violence, and for all the noise that's been made in the media about these protest camps being perceived as anti-Semitic, nobody has really been speaking up for the Jewish students who were targeted on Saturday night. Those are also Jewish students who deserve our protection and support. And I'm not seeing the same level of support for those students as I'm seeing sort of anti-Semitism weaponized to critique these camps in a way that I think inflames a lot of rhetoric.
And the other thing that is of interest to the media, I think, a lot, is the fact this is Oxford University, one of the two major universities, with a massive camp in it. Yet the media sort of represents these students as not knowing anything about the Middle East. I mean, you can't get a more ridiculous kind of idea, can you, than saying Oxford University students don't know anything. I mean, do you think it's a threat to the establishment that Oxford University's taking these measures to stand up for Palestine? I mean, the students, Yeah,
I think in my experience of this camp so far, I'm also a graduate student as well as a freelance journalist. I have learned a lot. I'm a historian by training, and my current degree is in history, my PhD. It's been a real privilege to actually be able to watch a number of lectures that have happened in camps by members of the faculty and by other experts who have come from London and other places to educate people on both the history of Palestine, but more generally about Palestinian culture and language. I have really felt like this has been a space of amazing education and really celebrating sort of the intellectual engagement of students with these problems. To dismiss them out of hand, I think deprives us of some really valuable viewpoints and quite a lot of expertise that I know I have learned from, and I feel like others could learn from as well.
What's your reaction to how the UK has responded to what's happening across in the US?
I'm really grateful to see that there is a lot less violence going on here, particularly from law enforcement directed at students. It is really hard to watch some of the footage from the States. I do worry that it is possible that similar violence could occur on a smaller scale if the rhetoric around this continues to push everyone towards direct conflict. I hope that responsible coverage and the sort of peaceful de-escalation that I witnessed on Saturday night prevents there from being the kind of injuries and really, really profound violence we've seen in the States. I'm hopeful that that will be the case.
And just a final question actually about the incident on Saturday night. I mean, people attacking the camp and saying they want to effing kill you and stuff like that. Has that put a lot of fear into the camp?
I think it had. I've witnessed and documented in my work conversations about what to do if something like that were to happen again. I think it was a hypothetical issue before Saturday. Now it's something that students are thinking about in a more concrete way. Right now, I think students feel safe with one another and have a lot of faith in the people who take care of each other. But that is, I think, contingent somewhat on whether violence escalates from here. And I hope that's not what the camp wants, and I hope that that's something that we can head off, because there's nothing productive that'll come out of that, I don't think.
Right. And you have people here who are here all night apparently, who are watching the camp and stuff.
Yeah, we have a number of really, really supportive and helpful people from the university who have volunteered to work shifts overnight to make sure that people who are staying in camp can sleep. And thus far, they've done a great job. And so I'm going to continue living in camp and documenting this as an embedded journalist. And I hope that people who are interested in the goings-on in camp follow the encampment social media or myself. They both give regular updates.